All right, everybody, get ready, because today we are diving deep, deep into the world of AI.
Diving deep.
But not the kind you see in the movies.
Right.
We're talking about the AI that's already here.
Yeah.
The kind that's about to, totally change how governments work.
Hugely important.
And this isn't just some, far-off thing.
No.
This is going to impact you.
It's already happening.
Directly in your everyday life.
Absolutely.
And for this deep dive,
Yeah.
we've got this awesome report we're using as, our guide.
Oh, yeah. I love this report.
It's called Building the AI-Ready Government.
Catchy title.
Right. And it's from Apolitical.
Okay. Yeah, they're
You
great.
folks who maybe haven't come across them, they're like this global network.
Yeah, super
Connecting all these people who are, shaping the future of how governments work.
Exactly. The movers and shakers of government.
Right, exactly.
Just thinking ahead.
And this report, it really is like a roadmap, right?
It really is. It's very practical.
Yeah. So it's not just telling everyone, hey, use more tech. It's about, strategy.
It is. It's about being smart.
Being smart, exactly.
Not just using AI for the sake of it, but really thinking, okay, how can we use this to make the services, the public services that you and I use every day, how can we make those better?
So it's less about, robots taking over.
Right. Not replacing humans.
And more about giving people, super powerful tools.
Yeah. AI-enhanced humans.
Right, exactly. So they can serve, all of us, the citizens, better.
Exactly. That's the whole...
Make everything smoother, more efficient.
Absolutely. And the potential here it's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Yeah. Well, you said it before. I mean, we're talking trillions.
Trillions, yeah. Not millions, not billions. Trillions with a T.
You're the T. Okay. Now you've got my attention.
Right.
Trillions. What do you, what does that even look like?
So imagine a world where AI helps governments to operate so efficiently that they have all this extra money, right, to invest in things like better schools,
Okay.
improved healthcare, maybe even, lower taxes.
Now you're talking.
That's the scale of impact that we're talking about here.
Okay. Now that is a future I can get behind. Sign me up.
Right.
But the report also stresses, it really stresses that there's this urgency.
Oh, absolutely.
Governments need to act now.
Yeah, it's now or never.
Or they risk falling behind.
Big time.
So, how far behind are we talking? Paint me a picture.
So the report highlights this pretty shocking statistic. Only 15%, that's it, of public servants globally have received any AI training whatsoever.
So, okay, we're talking about a massive skills gap here.
Massive, massive skills gap.
Okay, so where do we even begin? This whole AI-ready thing, it sounds kind of intimidating, to be honest.
I hear you. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. Right?
Yeah, it feels like a lot.
But the report actually does a great job of breaking it down into kind of digestible chunks.
Okay, break it down for me.
So they have this thing called the AI Readiness Framework.
Okay.
And it's kind of like leveling up in a video game, right?
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Right.
I like where this is going.
So at the first level, you've got the foundation stage.
Okay, foundation, got it.
And really, this is all about understanding the basics of AI. What can it actually do? What can it not do?
Right.
It's about identifying those specific areas within government where AI can actually make a real, tangible difference.
So, for example, could this be navigating those notoriously confusing government websites?
Absolutely, yeah.
Could AI help with that?
100%.
Or maybe, all that paperwork that we all dread.
Oh, the paperwork.
Could AI help with that?
Absolutely, all that tedious, time-consuming paperwork.
Yeah, just make it disappear.
Imagine applying for a permit online.
Yeah.
And instead of waiting weeks for a response,
Yeah.
an AI-powered system just processes it instantly.
Oh, man.
Right.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
That's the...
Or how about this?
Great.
An AI assistant that helps you fill out those really complex government forms, making sure you don't miss any of the little details.
Oh, see, that would be huge for me.
Right.
Because I always miss something.
There's always a field you forget.
Yes.
That's the kind of future we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's the first level, the foundation.
That's the foundation.
But you said leveling up, so I'm assuming there's more to this video game.
There's a whole game to be played here.
Okay, so where do we go next?
All right, so from the foundation stage, we move on to what they call the acceleration stage.
Okay.
And this is where things start to get really interesting. This is where governments kind of take off the training wheels, right?
Okay.
And they start experimenting with AI pilot programs.
So this is like we're testing things out in the real world.
Exactly. Exactly. Testing, iterating, figuring out what works, what doesn't.
Real world labs.
Exactly.
Love it. Okay.
And it's during this stage that governments really start building up their internal AI expertise.
So they're learning by doing, essentially.
Exactly. They're getting their hands dirty. They're figuring out, okay, this works in theory,
Right.
but how does it actually play out in practice?
It's like testing out a brand new car.
Right.
You know, you've read the brochure.
Yeah.
You've maybe sat in it at the dealership.
Kick the tires.
But now it's time to like actually see what this thing can do.
Hit the open road.
Exactly. Put the pedal to the metal.
See how it handles.
Exactly. So this acceleration stage is all about, really seeing how AI performs in the real world.
Absolutely. And it's about governments building that internal knowledge base.
Right.
Figuring out, what works for them, what doesn't work.
Right, because every government is different, right?
Of course, every context is unique.
So what works in one place might not work in another.
Exactly. One size doesn't fit all.
Okay, so we've gone through the foundation, we've gone through acceleration. Where do we go from here?
Well, then comes the really exciting part, the scale stage.
Okay, so this is like taking it to the next level.
This is where it goes from pilot project to fully integrated into the system.
So we're talking about AI being like woven into the fabric of how government works.
Exactly. It becomes part of the DNA.
Okay.
But, and this is crucial,
Okay.
it's not just about doing it on a larger scale, it's about doing it responsibly.
Right, because with great power comes great responsibility.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right. We want to make sure that these systems are actually serving the people.
Absolutely. They need to be human-centered, ethical.
So it's not enough to just have the technology. You need a strategy.
Strategy is key.
You can't just like throw AI at a problem and expect it to magically be solved.
It's not a magic wand.
Right.
It's more like, a really sophisticated tool
Okay.
that you need to know how to use properly.
Got it. Okay. So talk to me about strategy then.
All right, well, the report highlights some countries that are really doing this well.
Okay. Give me an example.
Estonia is a great example.
Estonia. Okay.
They've been, really strategic about this whole thing.
Yeah. How so?
Well, they actually started developing their national AI strategy back in 2018.
Wow. 2018. That's pretty early.
Very forward-thinking.
Yeah.
And they focused on building a data-driven government from the ground up.
So they were like laying the groundwork early on.
Exactly. They knew that data was going to be essential for making AI work effectively.
Makes sense. So they were like ahead of the curve.
Yeah, you could say that.
And they've used AI for some pretty cool things.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Like what?
Well, they've used it to streamline things like tax filing,
Okay.
business registration.
So making those things easier for people.
Exactly. Less of a headache.
Okay. So for other countries that are maybe just starting to think about their AI journey,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway from Estonia's experience?
I think the biggest lesson is that you need to be really clear about what problems you're trying to solve with AI. Don't just chase after the shiniest, most futuristic sounding applications.
Right. It's not about like looking cool.
Exactly. It's about actually making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. Making it easier, making it better.
Exactly. So you really have to pinpoint those areas where AI can have the biggest impact.
So less about robot armies and more about like making the DMV less painful.
Exactly. Making government work better for everyone.
Love it. Okay, so we've talked about strategy. What else is crucial for governments to become truly AI ready?
Well, we touched on it earlier, but I think it's worth emphasizing again.
Okay.
Upskilling the workforce.
Right. Giving people the skills they need to thrive in this new world of AI-powered government.
Exactly, because even with the best strategy in place, if your people don't know how to use the tools...
It's like giving someone a smartphone without telling them how to use it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They might figure it out eventually, but it's going to be a lot of fumbling around in the dark.
So we need to turn those fumblers into, like, AI ninjas.
AI ninjas, I love it.
Right. People who can really harness the power of this technology.
Exactly. And that means investing in training, professional development.
Okay, so what kind of training are we talking about here?
Well, it's a whole spectrum, right?
Yeah.
You got your basic AI literacy for everyone.
Okay, so everyone in government needs that baseline understanding.
Absolutely. Just like everyone in government needs to know how to use a computer.
Got it.
But then you also need more specialized training. Things like data analysis,
Okay.
data visualization,
Right.
even things like prompt engineering, which sounds very technical.
It does sound technical. Break that down for me.
So prompt engineering is basically about learning how to communicate effectively with AI systems,
Okay.
how to give them the right instructions, the right prompts to get the results you need.
So it's like learning a new language, the language of AI.
Exactly. You're basically talking to the machine,
I like it.
getting it to do what you want it to do.
It's like AI whispering.
AI whispering. There you go. I like that.
Right. Okay, so we're equipping these public servants with the skills to not just use the AI tools,
Yeah.
but to actually, like, shape them, to mold them.
Exactly. To become AI collaborators, not just AI users.
I like it.
And this goes beyond just the technical skills, right?
Okay.
We also need to be fostering critical thinking, ethical awareness.
Right, because we want to make sure that these AI systems are being used responsibly.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to government.
Right. There are big ethical considerations here.
Big ethical considerations.
We don't want AI to be used to, like, exacerbate existing inequalities.
Exactly. It's about making sure that AI is used for good.
Right, for the benefit of everyone.
Exactly. It's about using AI to create a more just, equitable society.
Okay, so it's not just about making government more efficient.
Right.
It's about making it more human-centered,
Absolutely, more human-centered.
even as we're incorporating more technology.
More human, even with more machines.
I like that. Okay, so we've talked about strategy. We've talked about upskilling the workforce. What else is crucial for building this AI-ready government?
Well, I think a big part of it comes down to trust.
Trust. Okay.
Because, let's face it, AI still has a bit of an image problem, right?
Yeah. I mean, people are wary, right?
Wary, skeptical,
Yeah.
and understandably so.
Right. I mean, it's a powerful technology.
Powerful technology.
And we're talking about putting it in the hands of, the government.
Right. The stakes are high.
Yeah. So how do we build that trust? How do we make sure that people are comfortable with this?
Well, I think transparency is key.
Okay. Transparency. So, like, being open about how AI is being used.
Exactly. Governments need to be upfront about what data they're collecting,
Okay.
how they're using that data,
Right.
what safeguards are in place to prevent misuse.
So it's about showing people, not just telling them, that AI is being used responsibly.
Exactly. It's about showing them the receipts.
Right. Because if you're not transparent,
Yeah.
people are going to assume the worst.
Exactly. They're going to fill in the blanks with their own fears.
Right. And those fears are often based on, what they've seen in movies.
Science fiction.
Exactly.
Dystopian futures.
Exactly. So we need to combat that with transparency, with openness.
Absolutely. And I think it's also about creating mechanisms for citizen feedback.
Okay. So two-way communication.
Exactly. It can't just be a one-way street.
Right. So people need to feel like they have a voice
They need to feel heard.
in how AI is being used in their communities.
Exactly. And that their concerns are being taken seriously.
So it's a partnership
It's a partnership, a collaboration.
between governments and citizens.
And I'd even argue the private sector as well.
Okay, so it's a team effort
It's a team effort to get this right
to make sure that AI is used for good.
for the benefit of everyone.
Okay, I love it. So we've talked a lot about the potential of AI, but are there any concrete examples
Oh, yeah, there are tons.
of this actually happening, like in the real world?
Absolutely. The report is full of them.
Okay, well, give me an example. What's something that really stood out to you?
Well, one area where I'm seeing a lot of interesting applications is in citizen service delivery.
Okay, so how's AI changing the game there?
Well, one example that I find fascinating is the use of AI-powered chatbots.
Chatbots. Okay.
Yeah, you've probably interacted with them before.
Oh, yeah, I use them all the time.
Right. So you know how useful they can be for getting quick answers, like from companies?
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
so much easier than, like, waiting on hold.
Exactly. So governments are starting to realize the potential of chatbots for improving citizen service delivery.
Okay, so give me an example. How's that actually working in practice?
Well, Singapore is a great example.
Okay.
They have this AI-powered chatbot called Ask Jamie.
Ask Jamie. Okay.
And it's basically designed to help citizens navigate government services.
So it's like having a 24/7 virtual assistant
Exactly.
out for all your government-related needs.
Exactly. You don't have to wait for business hours.
No more waiting on hold, no more getting lost in those, like, labyrinthine government websites.
Exactly. It just makes everything so much smoother.
It's like having a personal guide to the world of government.
I like that, a personal guide.
Right.
And it's not just about convenience either.
Okay.
The report also highlights how AI can be used to make government more inclusive.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that, because that's something I'm really interested in.
We'll take language accessibility, for example.
Okay.
A lot of countries are exploring the use of AI-powered translation services
Makes sense.
to make government information and services available in multiple languages.
So you could, like, access government documents.
Exactly.
Or even communicate with government officials
Exactly.
in your native language.
Even if it's not the official language of the country.
That's huge.
It's huge for inclusion.
Yeah, especially in our increasingly, diverse world.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that everyone has equal access to these services.
Right. Regardless of what language they speak.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just language.
Okay.
AI can also be used to personalize experiences for people with disabilities.
Oh, wow. Okay, how so?
Well, imagine an AI-powered system that tailors the format of a government website to the specific needs of someone with a visual impairment.
So it's like making the information accessible
Exactly.
to everyone, regardless of their abilities.
Precisely. It's about breaking down those barriers.
I love it. It sounds like we're on the verge of a major shift
We are. This is just the beginning.
in how we interact with our governments.
It's an exciting time.
It is exciting, but with any new technology,
Of course.
there are always potential downsides.
There are always risks.
Things we need to be aware of, things we need to be cautious about.
Absolutely. We can't just bury our heads in the sand.
Right. So let's talk about those risks for a minute.
Let's do it.
What are some of the potential pitfalls of using AI in government?
Well, one of the biggest concerns, and this is a big one, is bias.
Bias. Okay.
Because AI systems, they're only as good as the data they're trained on.
Right. They're learning from us.
Exactly. And if that data reflects existing societal biases,
Which, let's be honest, a lot of data does.
a lot of data does,
Yeah.
then the AI system is just going to perpetuate those biases.
Right. So it's like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Garbage in, garbage out.
So give me an example. Like, how could this play out in a way that would be harmful?
Well, let's say a government agency is using an AI system to help make decisions about loan applications.
Okay. Yeah.
But the data used to train that system reflects historical biases against certain demographics.
Okay.
So even if the system isn't explicitly told to discriminate,
Right.
it might end up doing so anyway.
Because it's learned from biased data.
Exactly. And that could lead to people being unfairly denied loans.
Wow. Okay. So that's a pretty serious consequence.
It is a serious consequence, and it's something we need to be very mindful of.
So how do you prevent that?
Well, for starters, we need to make sure that the data used to train these systems is as unbiased as possible.
Okay. Easier said than done, right?
Easier said than done, but it's essential.
Yeah.
We need to be really critical of the data we're using,
Right.
and we need to make sure that it's representative of the population we're serving.
So diversity in the data is key.
Diversity is absolutely crucial.
Okay. What else can we do?
Well, I think ongoing monitoring is essential.
So we can't just train the AI and then set it loose.
Exactly. It's not a one-time thing.
Right.
We need to be constantly evaluating these systems.
For bias, for errors, for anything that might be going wrong.
Exactly. We need to make sure that they're performing as intended.
So human oversight is still crucial.
Human oversight is absolutely essential.
Okay, so it's about finding that balance
It's all about balance.
between the power of AI
Yes.
and the need for human judgment.
We can't just hand over the reins completely.
Right, we need to be in control.
We need to be steering the ship.
I like it. Okay, so we've talked about the risks, but I think it's important to remember why we're even having this conversation.
Absolutely.
The potential of AI to transform government is huge.
Huge.
And it's not just about efficiency, it's about equity.
It's about making government work better for everyone.
Exactly. And I think that's something worth striving for.
Absolutely. It's a goal worth fighting for.
So we've talked about the potential, we've talked about the risks, but what about the practical steps?
Right. How do we actually get there?
Yeah, what can governments do, starting today, to start building this AI-ready future?
Well, I think the first thing is investing in their workforce.
Okay, so we talked about upskilling before.
Exactly. This is where the rubber meets the road.
So, concretely, what does that look like?
Well, we're talking about comprehensive training programs, creating opportunities for experimentation,
Okay.
hands-on learning, making sure that public servants feel empowered to explore the potential of AI.
So it's not just about, giving them a textbook and saying, go learn this.
No, it has to be practical. It has to be applied.
Right, they need to be able to, actually use these tools.
Exactly. And they need to feel comfortable experimenting, even failing.
Okay, so it's about creating a culture of, AI literacy.
Absolutely. AI literacy needs to be a core competency for everyone in government, from the frontline workers to the policymakers.
Well, because everyone's going to be interacting with this technology in some way.
Exactly. Everyone needs to be able to think critically about how AI can be used to improve their work.
Okay, what else?
Well, I think another really important piece of this is collaboration.
Collaboration. Okay.
Yeah, because right now, there are often these silos within government.
Right. Different agencies doing their own thing.
Exactly, and that's not going to cut it with AI.
So we need to break down those silos.
We need to break down those silos. We need to foster a more collaborative approach.
So like sharing best practices, pooling resources.
Exactly, working together to address the challenges.
Because these challenges, they don't just belong to one agency.
Right, we're talking about things like climate change, social inequality. These are complex issues.
Right, and they require a coordinated response.
Exactly, so we need everyone working together with AI as a unifying force.
Okay, so collaboration is key.
Absolutely, we can't do this in isolation.
And as we're doing all of this, as we're building this AI-ready government, we have to remember the human element.
Right, we can't lose sight of that.
Because ultimately, this technology, it should be a tool.
It should be a tool that empowers us.
Right, to create a more just, equitable, and prosperous future for everyone.
Absolutely, that's the whole point.
Okay, well, I have to say, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has been fascinating.
And this report, it's actually got me feeling like cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic, I like that.
Right, because it feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative.
We are. But it's going to take work.
It is. It's not going to be easy.
But it's worth doing.
It is. So for everyone listening, remember, the future of government isn't about replacing people with machines.
It's about empowering people with machines.
It's about using this technology to augment our abilities, to amplify our impact, and to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Beautifully said.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.